You know how a toilet works. You flush it and water goes down. Simple. But if someone asked you to explain it step by step, you'd freeze. Where does the water come from? How does the flush trigger the refill? What makes it stop filling? You suddenly realize you have no idea. Your brain told you that you understood it because you can use it. But using something and understanding something are completely different, and you've been confusing the two your entire life. This happens with everything you think you know. You use your phone every day and assume you understand how it works. You vote on policies and believe you grasp the economics. You have opinions on climate change, healthcare, education reform. You feel informed, confident, ready to debate. But the moment someone asks you to explain the actual mechanisms, your knowledge evaporates. You can describe what something does, but you can't explain how or why. Your brain has been giving you the feeling of understanding without the actual understanding, and that false confidence is making you wrong about almost everything. This is called the illusion of explanatory depth. Studies show when people are asked to rate their understanding before and after explaining something, their confidence drops by an average of 28%. Your brain evolved to use tools without understanding them. Your ancestors who could use fire survived. They didn't need to understand combustion. So your mind developed a shortcut. It stores just enough information to operate something, then tricks you into thinking you understand it deeply. Your neurons conflate familiarity with comprehension. Your brain thinks knowing what something does means knowing how it works, but it's actually giving you surface-level exposure and calling it expertise. Here's how this ruins your judgment daily. You're in a meeting and someone proposes a new process. Your brain scans what it knows. You've seen similar things. You understand the words they're using, so you feel confident evaluating it. You say it won't work. You list reasons, everyone nods, but you never actually thought through the mechanics. You never mapped the dependencies. You never considered the implementation details. You just pattern matched to familiar concepts and assumed understanding. The proposal might have been brilliant, but your illusion of depth made you confidently wrong. Or you're arguing about politics. You have strong opinions on tax policy. You know taxes should be lower or higher or restructured. You've heard smart people explain it. You've read headlines. You feel informed. So you debate passionately. But if someone asked you to explain how changing tax rates affects GDP, employment, inflation, and debt over 10 years, you'd have nothing. You know your position. You don't know the system. Your brain gave you confidence in proportion to your exposure, not your actual understanding. You're arguing based on an illusion. Research shows this happens an average of 23 times per day. The illusion doesn't just make you overconfident once. It creates a cascade where false confidence prevents real learning. You think you understand something? So you don't study it deeper, which means you stay at surface level, which feels like understanding because you're familiar. So you become more confident, which makes you even less likely to learn. You're stuck in a loop where the illusion of depth blocks the path to actual depth. The more familiar something becomes, the more you think you understand it. The more you think you understand it, the less you question your understanding. You're trapped in shallow confidence that feels like expertise. And no, you're not overthinking this. It really is that complex. Most people think this is about intelligence or education, so they assume smart people or educated people don't have this problem. But that's like assuming tall people don't misjudge distances. The real issue isn't how much you know. It's that your brain uses familiarity as a proxy for understanding. A professor can have the illusion of depth about topics outside their field. An expert in one domain can confidently misunderstand another. You're not lacking information. You're misinterpreting the signal your brain sends you. Familiarity feels like comprehension. They're completely different things. This bias survives because actual understanding requires effort, and the illusion provides confidence for free. Plus, admitting you don't really understand things you use daily feels embarrassing. And if you stopped assuming familiarity equals understanding, you'd have to face how little you actually know about the world you navigate. You'd have to say, I don't know, constantly. Your brain would rather give you false confidence than accurate humility. The illusion is more comfortable than the truth. And that's exactly why most advice about this fails. You're not understanding how things work. You're understanding how to use them. And your brain can't tell the difference. You can operate your car, your computer, your relationships, your career without understanding the underlying mechanisms. So your mind assumes operational knowledge equals explanatory knowledge. But they're separate systems. You can know that turning the key starts the car without knowing anything about ignition systems. You can know that apologizing helps relationships without understanding the psychology of forgiveness. Your brain conflates the two. It feels like you understand because you can predict outcomes, but prediction without mechanism isn't understanding. It's pattern recognition, pretending to be expertise. Once you see familiarity as a feeling, instead of knowledge, everything shifts. That confident opinion about economics, it's based on using money, not understanding monetary systems. Your certainty about how education should work, it comes from being educated, not understanding pedagogy. Your strong views on technology, they're from using devices, not grasping engineering. You're not stupid. You're human. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, give you enough information to function and confident enough feelings to act. But functioning isn't understanding, and confidence isn't accuracy. So the next time you feel certain you understand how something works, you'll know what's really happening. Your brain is confusing familiarity with depth. You can use it, so you think you get it. But now you can test yourself. Can you explain the actual mechanism? Can you map the cause and effect? Can you teach it to someone else? If not, you're operating on the illusion. And that's okay. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to know what you actually understand versus what you only think you understand. That awareness changes which opinions you hold strongly and which ones you hold lightly. You started this video thinking you understood how most things work. No, you know your brain gives you the feeling of understanding without the actual knowledge. That's not a small shift. That's recognizing the difference between using something and explaining something. Watch yourself this week. Notice when you feel confident about how something works. Then try explaining it out loud. The gap between confidence and knowledge will shock you. Join the thousands of people who are finally understanding why they do what they do.